The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show was originally broadcast on August 31st, 2021.
Aloha and good morning, Maui. Welcome to Business Matters radio show brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. I'm your host, Pamela Tumpa, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Today, we're going to cover the second quarter statistical and economic report from DBED and learn about visitor arrivals, future of work and digital economy, new skills that are being required, and digital skills for a digital future. And we're going to talk to the owner of Treehouse Designs. But let me start by welcoming Dr. Eugene Tian. He is, and welcoming him back, he is the Chief Economist and Division Administrator of the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, Research and Economic Analysis Division. His office conducts research on economic issues such as tourism, emerging industries, diversification, quality of life, technology, energy, and taxation. His team also provides the official statewide short-range economic forecasts on a quarterly basis and the long-range population and economic forecast every 5 years. Aloha and good morning, Dr. Tian. How are you this morning?
Hi, good morning, Pam. Can you hear me correct? All right?
Say that again.
You're fine.
Oh, yes, you're fine. We can hear you. I just got the thumbs up from Gary, our technician.
Okay, thank you for inviting me again. We released recently. We made two releases. Last Thursday, we released our third quarter economic forecast for the whole state. And we also released the visitor number for July yesterday.
Wow.
So we had 2 weeks ago, we released the labor market statistics in terms of jobs and employment rate. So that's, my office released, we had 4 releases this month in August. The first one was actually the state of Hawai'i data book.
Uh-huh.
We released on the 16th.
Wow.
So, those are the forecast number. We reduced the economic growth. It's mainly because of the COVID cases.
Uh-huh.
It has been increasing. And Hawaii, we used to be the bottom in the last year or half. We were the bottom. We ranked the number 1 lowest or number 2 lowest. But now we are ranking about the 14th, 15th. I think as of last Friday, we were the 17th highest in the nation.
Ah.
So because of those COVID cases, and that will impact our economy because the governor has already recommended the visitors not to visit our state during this time. I think this advisory will be ineffective for the rest of August, will be for September and October. It's because the 2 months, September, October, they are our shoulder months, which means the visitors to Hawaii during those 2 months are smaller. So they try not to impact the economy with a great degree. But because of that, we have seen the visitor arrivals declining. For example, the data I just received for yesterday, we had 13,000 visitors yesterday. So compared with June and July, that was only half.
Mm-hmm.
So in June and July, we had 26,000 a day.
Right.
And in July, we had 28,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday was only 13,000. So that was greatly reduced by about half. So I think this is one of the main factors that we see the economy will be it's not declining, but it will be slowing down for the rest of the year.
Yeah. We are already hearing from many different businesses after that announcement was made. They are seeing cancellations, not just this month, which many people thought, well, they might see this month, but they're already seeing cancellations through the end of the year. And they're tracking what people are saying when they're canceling, because in the past, some people were saying, the COVID numbers are rising, but many people are actually literally mentioning the governor's message in their cancellations.
Yes, I think the impact in our economic forecast, we projected will be impact until the end of the year.
Okay.
But the main impact will be in September, because August the first half was good.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So the impact will be mainly in September and October, and it will be recovered some in November and toward the end of the year in December. Actually, for the economy, the first 7 months, the economy was great. It's actually, I can give you a few numbers. One, for the job growth, I'm talking about the statewide. Hawaii's job growth in July was the highest, the number one among all the states in the nation in terms of job growth. Then in terms of the unemployment rate decrease, because it has been declining since the pandemic. We used to have about 23%. And now we are at about 7.3%. So in terms of the declining in unemployment rate, Hawaii ranked the number 2 in the nation, and because our improvement was good.
Right.
So talking about Maui only, when we look at the numbers, we look at the visitor arrivals. So the recovery in July, every month is a good recovery. But in July for Maui Island, the recovery in visitor arrivals is 91.8%. So this is in comparison with July 2019. So it's recovered 91.8% for Maui Island, but 48% for Molokai, and 65.7% for Lanai. Statewide total, as I said, we released the visitor numbers yesterday. Mm-hmm. The statewide total recovery is 88.4%, which means that in July, our visitor arrivals was 88.4% of the July 2019 level. It was a pretty good trend, but all in a sudden in August, now we are half.
Right.
We are half of July in August.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting very scary, and I'm so glad that your department is putting out so many helpful statistics. I mean, you guys have been on fire with 4 releases in 1 month, because these are major economic reports, folks. They take a lot of work to compile. So and as we're looking at that, it's been interesting to really kind of see the statistics, because what people are feeling on the ground and some of the things they're saying, the data really helps us see a broader vision. And I appreciate that you're looking at this time when there's more discussion about pulling back. There's discussion about, we've really got to get our COVID numbers under control. And we're already in a shoulder period. And what we're finding is many of our businesses are now seeing cancellations that they didn't expect. And not just in September, October, we're hearing cancellations now with people canceling in November, December. And it's early. I mean, we're early in some of this messaging that's going out. So what do you see as, again, I think you mentioned you expect some pickup in November, December. Of course, how do you feel that's going to correlate with the COVID numbers that we have and what we need to do to see that pickup toward the end of the year?
Yes, I think our current forecast, we actually reduced our economic growth from 3.5% we projected in May, and now in August we projected 2.7%. It's a decrease by about 0.8 percentage points. The main reason for that is the COVID impact, and the visitor industry will be slowing down. And our assumption is that our visitor will reduce by half in September and also in October, and we will recover to about 75% and maybe 90% in December. So 70%, 75% in November, 90% in December. And because now the recovery in July, it was about 88.4% already. So that is the base for the assumption, but it may become worse because I think the COVID cases this is before we had the statewide 1,600 cases.
Right.
So I think the cases are still not reducing rapidly. And for Maui, for example, is also a new high for all the islands. So this will impact not only the visitor industry, but it will be impacting the Kamehameha economy as well. So I think the main impact is for both local economy and the tourism economy. I think that is the base. So if our assumption is that this COVID hike will be reducing or maybe finished by the end of October. If it lasts longer, it may change, but we will do another economic forecast in November. We do economic forecast on a quarterly basis. Mm-hmm. So this is the third quarter. The next quarter, I think, will be more clear. And currently, there's a high degree of uncertainty caused by these COVID cases. As I said, up to July, the economy was so good and everybody was confident. And if you look at our bankruptcy filings, it has been declining. And actually, for the first 7 months, it has decreased by 20.7%. So, but I think if this case is a lot longer, that may change the whole picture.
You know, we're so glad that you folks are forecasting quarterly because, you know, through this pandemic, it's been just an unprecedented time for us all. And to just hear those updates is really helpful because the best thing we can do right now, both in our families and, of course, in our businesses, is have important data and plan forward. We're watching the cases soar. You know, we are watching impacts happen already. So, you know, I really want everybody who's listening in this morning, take the data that Dr. Tian's sharing and plan forward because we're going to have, you know, a rough couple of months on both levels, on the COVID front, on an economic front. And I appreciate that you're also sharing, you know, so in so many cases, given Hawaii's, you know, deep reliance on the visitor industry, sometimes we focus so much on the visitor industry economy. And of course, as you mentioned just now, the local economy as well. The impacts are starting to be felt here in a big way already. And as you said, our cases are still rising. So there's so much we need to do. Dr. Tian, can you talk a little bit about the visitor arrivals? We were talking a little bit about what's been happening with the visitor arrivals, that we're seeing half the numbers. What are you folks looking at from like the airlines over the next couple months? Are there any forecasts of whether they are seeing or expecting it to drop further? With, you know, do they have a window of bookings that they're looking at or that you folks have access to that predicts, you know, a little bit more about what the airlines will be doing in September and October?
Yes. As I said, the airline were very happy and very actively having a lot of flights. And the thing we see, for example, the Air Canada, and they have been stopped for a year. And they started in July with only one flight, but in August, there are 26 flights. Wow. And of the 26, there are 13 of them came to Maui, Kahului. So I think they will also make some adjustments. So on Maui, for example, to Kahului Airport, for the month of August, we have 1,779 flights coming to Maui only. And in terms of our air seats, for August, coming to Kahului is actually an increase by about 31.6%.
Okay.
And that is compared with the same month, August 2019. But for September, because the airlines, they schedule into the future, then they make adjustments on a daily basis. So if we look at the airline, the flight schedule, it still looks pretty good. But we do see for Maui, for example, in August, the total flights for the month is 1,779. But as of today, for September, the number of flights to Kahului is reduced to 1,478. So you do see the increase between August and September.
Right.
But then going to October, the number is smaller than October, but it is still higher than September. But that number is, we're talking about a month from now. They may need to do some adjustment, but I think the airlines are still waiting. For Kahului Airport, the number of flights for October it is 1,507. 1,507.
Okay.
So it's a little increase from September, but it's a decrease from August. Of course, it's a decrease from July, which is the best month ever in 2021. So I didn't see Air Canada has decreased. They actually, there will be 17 flights from Vancouver. In September, there will be 18 flights in October from Vancouver. So this is the schedule. You may have to make adjustment. But the number of flights increased the most. Almost all the airlines increased the flights to Maui and also statewide. The increase the most is actually the Southwest.
Yes.
So they have increased. Let me give a number. In August 2019, 93 flights to Kahului from the West Coast, 93. And then now you think about August 2021, how many flights from the West Coast just for Southwest Airlines alone is 4,034. Yeah, 434 versus 93. It's a big increase. But in September, the Southwest will reduce from 434 to 372. So they made some adjustments. It will be reduced. So the next increase is actually Hawai'i Airlines. And next to it, to Hawai'i Airlines is United. They all increase flights from the West Coast to Kahului and statewide as well. So those numbers in August, they already reduced. And so when we look at the state numbers, the LC for August is actually a decrease by 2.5%. And in September is pretty much flat. But Maui is actually the winner as of August. So the flight, the LC to Maui in August is an increase the most. It's a 31.6% increase.
Wow.
For Kahului. And in September, the current schedule is also an increase, 37.2%. In October, the increase is 29.4%. So this is all in comparison of the 2019 3-month level. But again, those numbers will be adjusted. I think as the airline are watching and seeing the necessity to adjust their schedule. But because Maui and Kauai are more dependent on tourism than the other two countries, so the visitor industry recovery is actually pretty good for those two countries.
Yes, we really have been very blessed for the recovery we've had, and we're deeply grateful for that. And especially with what's going on in Louisiana and Mississippi and that region with Hurricane Ida, it just brings home that we sure need to be thankful for the blessings we've had. And of course, as we hear some of this economic news too, we're also looking at things that we can do to buffer and prepare, at a time when we were just kind of struggling to make as much money and recover, pay down the debt that had been accumulated. So it's definitely an interesting time as we move into what's a known shoulder period. We know September and October are the shoulder period where things slow a little bit. So it sounds like, again, we're looking at changes in flight data for that reason as well. And then, of course, now the question is, what happens over the next couple of months? What are some of the aside from the fact that, Maui and Kauai have been, doing very well on the economic side, what are some of the other bright areas that you see over the next few months where we can look to for helping to shoulder some of these other coming downturns that we're looking at?
Yes, I think at this moment, a lot of people are pessimistic, but there are some bright areas. For example, for Maui County, I think the bright area is actually the construction industry.
Yes.
So the construction industry, in terms of jobs, the payroll jobs, is actually fully recovered. And the statewide is fully recovered. So, for example, Maui, if we look at the July payroll job number, it's compared with July 2019, or before the prior to the COVID period, Maui is 100% recovered in the construction industry.
Awesome.
So I think that is the only industry on Maui that has 100% recovered. And the other industry, although we know the tourism is doing good, but the hospitality sector, the job recovery is only about 70% for Maui County. I think the main drag for the Maui County is the other islands like Molokai and Lanai. Their recovery, Molokai recovery is below 50%. So for Maui, as of July, the payroll job loss is still about 16,900. So the job recovery is only 79.1%. So it's behind. Although the tourism is doing good, but the job impact, it wasn't, because the visitor arrival recovery is about 91%. But if you look at the job recovery, it's falling behind. The hospitality sector recovery in jobs is only 70%. And county-wide recovery is only 79%. So you can see that when you're on the island, you can feel that. Because if you look at the statewide, it's 87% recovery as of July. But for Maui County, it's 79%. It's below the state level.
Yes.
So Honolulu County and Hawaii County, because they are not too much dependent on tourism, they can recover faster. Honolulu County is 89% recovered, and for Hawaii County is 87%. But Maui is 79%, and Kauai County is 76.6%.
Yeah.
But Kauai is worse than Maui County, but Maui County is the second worst. Yeah. I think, when you talk about the price, construction is still doing good.
Awesome. Well, you know what, Dr. Tian, I think we'll end on that note. We want to end on a bright note. But I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you for sharing these economic statistics. People can go online and look at your department, Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, to find these statistics and the reports that you released?
Yes. Go to DBET. Our division is called READ, Research and or just go to DBET and select the economy.
Great.
So you will see all the data we have.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on again. We'd love to call you back in a little while. You always give us such great information, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Pam, for inviting me again.
Oh, our pleasure. Look forward to seeing you and talking to you again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to a brief commercial. The show is sponsored by Mokulele Airlines.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
And we're back. We are now going to welcome Ka'ala Souza of Ka'ala Souza Training and Consulting. Ka'ala is an author, consultant, public speaker, and owner of a training and consulting business where his major goal is assisting others in achieving theirs. Born and raised in Hawaii and on the island of Oahu, he has a background in marketing research, and he brings a unique perspective to his work. He has worked with many of the top 20 largest companies and organizations in Hawaii, as well as nonprofit groups, clubs, and other groups throughout the state. And so this morning, Ka'ala is going to talk to us a little bit about his work in the area of workforce development. So good morning, Ka'ala. How are you today?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing well. I'm looking out a window at blue skies, and that's a beautiful start to the day.
It is.
I'll take that.
How blessed are we to live in Hawaii? Again,
No joke.
I was listening to the devastation by Hurricane Ida as I was driving in, and our hearts and prayers go out to them. But yes, it makes you so thrilled to say, "Lucky we live Hawaii."
For sure.
Ka'ala, you are doing such amazing work right now, and one of the things that you're involved in is the Workforce Development Council. Can you tell our listeners what is the Workforce Development Council, and what do you do there?
Yeah, that's what my mother-in-law would always like to know. Like, what exactly does her son-in-law do for work? The Workforce Development Council is a state agency. It's connected to the Department of Labor. Allison Sasaka is the director there. It's made up of both. It has a board of directors that is made up of the private sector and public sector, where the private sector, though, is, I think, is like 51% or something. So there's a really large board, and the idea is to get this collaboration and feedback between the public-private sector going on. The WDC also works with all of the American Job Centers and primarily interacts with this the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, so where people can get resources and help to get upskilling, and I mean there's just tons of stuff. But if you've heard of the American Job Centers or the one-stop shops on the different islands, that's where we're connected pretty deeply.
Yeah, and that was a big change a few years back, where we created these American Job Centers, which is really exciting to see what they're doing in workforce innovation. And you are really on the front lines of getting, working with within the council, but also on the front lines of working within the community and trying to get these programs out. Talk to us a little bit about what's happening in terms of our workforce future. And, everybody keeps hearing about this digital economy. And how are people going about starting to get involved in that and making that transformation?
That's such a great question, and you're so good at this. I'm listening to that question going, wow, that's just fantastic. We talk about the digital economy, and I think the WDC back in 2019, we started a new strategic plan. And one of the things that we were looking at was this need for resiliency in a workforce. I mean, everybody knows that, Hawaii is super vulnerable, in our economy. Like a butterfly flaps its wings, and, we feel it. And so when there's something like the pandemic, obviously it's just crushing for everybody, but it's just so destructive. And so we started looking at that, and then, of course, 2020 hit, and one of the things that we were trying to figure out was, what does a resilient economy look like? Is it based on the sectors or industries, and who we bring in, what companies are around? And I think what we ended up talking like tons of stakeholders in the community all around the state, all of our board members, the employers, and they kept coming back to, we need a workforce that could work with computers and solve problems. Just those two things. And it was almost so simplistic and simple an answer that I just kept discounting it and kept coming back to it. I kept discounting it. And it sounds so simple, but the thing is, and not just because of COVID. I mean, this was already happening before COVID-19 just, shined a giant spotlight on it. Work is changing, and work is different, and it's, almost like that transition from the, hunter-gatherer to a farm life to a city life,
Right.
So if you don't have the skills in this transition, you just get left behind, and it's just drastic. That digital divide is drastic. And so one of the things that we decided to focus on was digital literacy, and making sure that everybody in Hawaii, our workforce, has the skill, not necessarily a specific skill for a specific job, but has the skills to learn how to learn more skills. And so that's really the key. If we can learn how to learn more skills and really online, then we're able to pivot when we need to.
That's so, really the crux of it. Well, I don't know that you know this, but I'm sorry. About 20 years ago, I was working at the Research and Technology Park, and technology was changing so fast that we used to say, with keeping up with the technological changes, that if you weren't able to adapt within 6 months, you were a dinosaur. And of course, that's at the tech park. So that's an elevated level than what we're talking about. But to your point, the importance of being able to learn how to learn and upgrade your skills, whatever the conditions are. Right? The world is changing in big ways. Decades ago, we weren't expecting the global economy we have today and all of the e-commerce that we have today. We weren't, here in Hawaii decades ago, we were talking about our realm in the Pacific region, how our connectivity was going to always be super important. And now, as you said, pretty much in every aspect of work, people are needing to have some access to computers or be able to interface with computers. And to get some of those basic literacy skills are super important, especially if you don't have them now. This is a great time to get them because there's so many phenomenal programs that are coming about to help you. So, Kala, can you talk a little bit about what are the programs to help people upgrade their skills and share with them, what you think this digital future is going to look like so that they can see many opportunities and learn about the training that's going to be available?
Yeah, let me start with that last question because that really is like what's in it for me. What does the digital future look like? We're spending so much time on making sure that people have access to like the internet, to computers, and then making sure that they know how to use those things because, we're talking about, looking for jobs, banking, people talk about telehealth. I think now we're talking about everything. You just have to be able to do this unless you deliberately want to go up Mauka, live in the kuhibis up in the mountain. Then you're okay, which I don't judge. I want to do that.
Sure, it sounds beautiful and relaxing.
And so then I don't need any connectivity, internet, broadband.
If you have the skills to sustain yourself. I don't have those skills at this time, but if I did.
You're so funny. That's exactly right. My skills are terrible, too, on that. So, we think about the future of work. It really is people talk about tech jobs, and now I'm saying that every job is a tech job. And it's a little bit of a, hyperbole, but every job has some kind of technology aspect to it. Whether I talked to some people who are in landscaping and maintenance for really big companies, and these big companies are using programs like Yardi, which I've never heard of, but it makes people forces their employees to use this computer technology to track their projects and their day-to-day maintenance stuff. And if you can't do it, the supervisor ends up doing it, and then the supervisor will fall behind. And it's just like this train of negative things and this chain of things. So we got to get these things, and it ties back into our history, but so the libraries are a big partner of ours on this. Really, the libraries have been doing digital literacy training since there was computers in libraries. So all of the state's public libraries have just gotten access to this fantastic online training program for basic computer skills called North Star. And I think, really in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the librarians have all gone through this training. Just to use this new program, because they've been doing digital literacy for years.
Right.
But you can walk into a library and you can get set up with a learner account, and this is all for free, right? Because the libraries have already paid for this. They've contracted with North Star. It's a nonprofit in Minnesota. And you can go through and get like these badges and proctored exams and get basic computers, Word. In the future, I think they're adding Excel. But basic things that you need to know. And this, the basic stuff is like a horse stance in karate. Like you can't progress past a white belt if you can't hold the horse stance. And this is the horse stance kind of stuff,
right?
That lets you learn the rest of it online. So there's that. The community colleges right now are another huge, benefit for us. They're providing these free in-person classes for 3 hours, I think through the end of September or October. So those are free computer classes that the state is investing in our workforce, our people, to upskill and to prepare. And to not do it, I think, is just negligent. There's online aspect. You can do online training. We have a website, digitalreadyhawaii.org, that will connect you to this online training if you like. You have the libraries, you have the community colleges that are offering this for free.
Right.
Even businesses should be looking at. I think every business should have an upskilling plan for their employees. AT&T is spending I think $1 billion on their 200,000 employees. Recognizing this is from 2017, I think, where they're saying in 10 years our employees won't be able to work for our own company. Amazon is spending $700 million for I forget how many people, like 100,000 people or something, just to upskill their employees.
Yeah.
So I think every company, big or small, should be looking at upskilling, and one of those upskilling topics should be digital literacy and computer literacy. And we have a free resource. It's not free, we're paying for it, but the company should just access this all the time, like automatic. So
Absolutely.
It's just there. Everybody should have an upskill plan, even individuals. Sorry, getting a little too excited here. I'll calm down.
No, please. We love excitement and passion. We're all about, honestly, I am a passion woman.
Okay, good, because I'm tripping. If again, companies, we have access to this, at least the computer skills we can provide support for. And then once you have these basic computer skills, you can go on and learn whatever, next level. So, you know how to use a mouse, and I'm talking about basic things like using a mouse, left click, right click, double clicking. I ask a lot of people, what does a triple click do? And I bet you the majority of people can't verbalize what a triple click does on your mouse.
Right.
Not that you need to, but the more proficient you are with your tools, the better, the more efficient you are, and better you are, the more productive you are. So from there, you move on to the next level of training. We have other online access. The American Job Centers are actually offering training support. We have things like LinkedIn Learning, which is a paid subscription to Microsoft's LinkedIn Learning online system. But we're piloting that through the American Job Centers, and they have licenses there for people. So I hope I don't inundate them, but I hope I do. Hope Linda over at Maui's American Job Centers gets bombarded by people saying, we want LinkedIn Learning. And then they'd be that darn ka'ala.
Well, Linda's a passionate woman as well. And so I think if we flood her with requests for these LinkedIn Learning subscription opportunities, we really want to do that, because this is an important time to maximize the tools. And it's interesting that you talk about this, because I've been talking to different businesses and saying to them, some of these free programs are available. So you gave us a link yesterday that I think we're going to get up on our website today, on the Chamber website, which is mauichamber.com. I don't think it's up there yet, but it's going to be up by the end of the day. And we're going to put some of these resources up so that you can find these free trainings. And for businesses, this is a great way to share these links with your employees. As we've been starting to share that, we're finding people are very interested in it. But as Kala said, it's a progression. So first we start with the digital literacy. And as we start teaching people new skills, it's going to broaden and open their minds to other possibilities and make them such amazing workers within your companies. But even if you are not working for a company, as Kala said, look, it's important in your personal life. It's going to be the way to interact. It's going to be the skills you learn today are skills that you can help teach future generations. And we've always known that in excellence, lifelong learning is so important. Right? In the old ways and some of the things we used to do, you just had to learn one skill and that could carry you through your life. Today, we see people working for many different types of industries throughout their careers. So the ability to learn and adapt is critical, and the state and the Workforce Development Council and the American Jobs Corps is the American Job Centers, not the American Job Corps, excuse me, the American Job Centers is creating such an array of opportunities that we can take advantage of, and there's so many free opportunities that we don't want anybody to be remiss and not take advantage of them. So if nothing else, when you're listening in today, think about how you can share this with friends and family and throughout your businesses.
100%. There's no doubt. I was listening to how you're describing this, and I'm going to try and get a copy of that, just to soundbite it, put it on our website, because that's the future is now. You know, there was an author who was saying that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed, which means that there's some people who are still living in a past, 20 years ago, how we used to do things. But what's going to happen is there's people who are living now in what the future already looks like.
Right.
So if you look at, jobs like Uber, Lyft, on-demand, gig economy, it's less about jobs, really. And this sounds so heretical, but we're not trying to, I'm personally not trying to get more jobs, but do what you're talking about in helping people look at things differently and get a different mindset to access the opportunities. So, the whole goal for me is not digital literacy. Like, the end result is not that we know how to use computers. The end result is that we have the skills that enable us to take advantage of worldwide opportunities so that we can stay at home.
Yes.
You don't have to move to Vegas. This is the dream. We don't have, not that Vegas is bad, or Washington, where all my friends have moved. If you want to stay in Hawaii, there's remote work opportunities. DBED is working on some pilot projects and programs. Was on the news just recently, where you can work from home, kind of like an Uber thing, but you don't have to leave your house. As long as you have a broadband internet connection, you have a computer, and you know how to use your computer.
Right.
So the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. We want to make sure that Hawaii is distributing that future as quickly as possible and move us into a competitive position in the world. So not just in the country. You said this earlier. The world, we're just flat now. The world is really flat. You can work almost anywhere. That as long as there's this internet connection with remote work ideas. And we need to make sure that Hawaii is positioned in a place that we don't get left behind. And in fact, we're in the front of the pack.
You are so awesome. I deeply appreciate having you on this morning, Ka'ala. Thank you for sharing that important message. There's great work being done so that, again, you're not left behind. You can learn skills and be able to access such an array of tremendous opportunities. And, we used to call it work from home, but now it's work from anywhere, WFA. So for those who are, thinking about the future, we all need to be thinking about the future these days because things are changing in very different ways.
Oh yeah.
Get these new skills. It's going to so improve and benefit your life, and it's a lifelong learning path because the tools and the skills are changing all the time these days. But the great news is you have no reason not to access these free programs.
100%. Again, I'm all in. Thank you so much for letting me jump on your show here, and I'm actually, not on Oahu all the time now. I'm in Maui County over in Molokai.
Great.
So I just got back to Oahu, and I'm happy to be in your county, and let's do this. Yeah.
We're going to do it. Let's do this, Kala. We're going to do it. And when you're here, make sure you call me. But also, as you know, we're going to be working on programs with you because, folks, we want to make sure the Chamber is going to be involved in helping to promote this and in any way we can, Kala. We're a phone call away. You know that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, our pleasure. And the key thing, folks, is we want to get resources out to the public. So take advantage, and Kala, have a beautiful day.
Yes, it's still blue skies. And even if it was kind of gray skies, it's still in Hawaii.
Yes. Amen. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Well, we'll have you on again soon. Aloha. We're going to take a quick break to hear more about Mokulele Airlines.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
And we're back, and thanks to Mokulele Airlines for sponsoring this show. It is now my pleasure to welcome Shannon Peck, who is the owner of Treehouse Designs. Shannon, good morning and aloha. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you, Pamela. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. We're so excited to learn about Treehouse Designs. First of all, how did you come up with the name, and what does Treehouse Designs do?
Well, I basically make handbags. That's it in a nutshell. But the name I actually can't even take credit for, which is slightly embarrassing. But years ago, when I started this with barely any direction for where I was headed, a friend kind of suggested it, and it just stuck.
Awesome.
But I think it turned out to be a very fitting name because it in my mind, really represents a lot of what's at the heart of my brand, which is, basically trying to get at a low impact, sort of simplified might not be the best word, but a low impact kind of sustainable and yet creative lifestyle, which I think all is represented in a treehouse.
I would agree. I mean, you think about what a treehouse conjures up for you, right? And it was the backyard,
right?
The treehouse, your place of refuge and fun.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. So tell us a little bit about your bags.
I mostly make fabric handbags. I use some leather as well. Mostly sustainable-ish materials. I head in a sustainable direction. So I don't know that even the industry is quite up to the standards I would love for it to be at yet. But I do try to use the most sort of responsible materials I can. So I'll use linen or, materials that are less water consumptive or vegetable tanned leathers instead of ones that use heavy metals and put that into the earth. So I do definitely, again, in line with the treehouse kind of ethos, try to create products that are better for the environment. And also part of that is things that last, things that you don't have to replace too often.
I love that.
But also something cute and stylish.
Yes. Yeah. Something. So, tell us a little bit about the designs and what are you, I love that you mentioned that leather tanned by vegetables instead of metals. I mean, that's something that most of us, when we're buying a leather purse, don't even know or think of. So
no, it's true. It's something I didn't even know until I started diving into it. But yeah, there's a real difference in materials out there. As with every industry, there's, a bright side and a dark side.
Right.
So the vegetable tan, when I was sourcing leather, I went through all of it, basically. And, as a business, you try to look at cost effectiveness and balance that with every other, process of the decision-making process. But ultimately, I decided just go for the best quality. Go for something that I believe in, something that I don't think is damaging to the environment, and something that I know is going to withstand all of the elements and everything we do to a bag. So I chose a tannery in the U.S. It's based in Pennsylvania, but they do all vegetable tanning. So again, using like tannins from tree bark and stuff, and not chrome, which is the other heavy metal used in a lot of, I don't know if it's traditional tanning, but it's the common tanning.
Yeah.
And they have just a very full circle kind of cycle. They get their hides from the end of the meat packing process, so it's not wasted hides, not, leather sourced just for the sake of leather.
Right.
And they even put the hair from the hides back into the soil and compost it. And anyway, it's a company I fully believe in.
I should
say,
and
they
say
make a great product.
And then to connect the tree bark with your treehouse designs, that too is making such a great connection.
Exactly.
That's awesome. What a great sustainable solution. So what
Thank
kinds
you.
of, you're welcome. No, thank you, because these are things we love. I mean, we are so blessed to have phenomenal manufacturers who really, care about the environment, care about our quality of life, but also care about the quality they're putting out and the message they're sending with their products. And so it's exciting to hear all that you're doing in that arena. What styles of bags do you typically do?
I will say that as a rule, I am not a small bag person. I'm a big bag person. So my designs, even though I try to design for everyone, I definitely end up designing things for myself. So I do make some sort of purses, but in general, I make larger bags. I am right now currently carrying my backpack every day. It's one of my later designs. But how to describe it more than that? Sort of softer shapes. Again, mostly fabric, so not very hard structured bags. Often reversible. I try to do something with a cute print on one side and a solid color on the other side. I'm always trying to maximize your possibilities with one bag.
Love that.
And things that just fit well, that don't, I like to say that you wear that don't wear you. Yeah.
I love that.
That's
you wear
important.
that don't wear you.
Yeah. We all know the bags that wear you.
I hear you.
It does not work for my life. No.
That's awesome. I hear you. We want something comfortable and something that works and something that has, I like something that allows me to organize the way I need to organize so I can quickly find things in my bag. That's always so important to me.
Exactly. The thing that gets you through your day.
Yeah. And for women,
the bag is...
It's everything. For me,
exactly.
It's my storage. Yeah. It's my storage center on the go.
It is my home away from home in many ways.
Exactly. Well, Shannon, we've got about a minute left, but I want to have you, or maybe a minute and a half, but I'm going to have you tell everybody where we can find these amazing bags.
Right now, online is a great place. My website is treehousemade.com. I also, although we're taking a break, at least for the month of September, I do show at Sunset Market at Wailea Village the first and third Thursday of every month. And then you can find them in a few boutiques around the islands. On Maui, the best place to find them is in Makawao at Tribe Maui.
Awesome.
And then I've got them in Kiko on Kauai and Fighting Eel on Oahu. So that kind of covers the island.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to run now, but thank you for sharing about Treehouse Designs and your amazing bags and for participating today, Shannon.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a joy speaking with you.
Oh, it was a great joy speaking with you. Have a beautiful day. And to all of those listening, we're always running out of time, but we'll be back again next week with Business Matters, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. I'm Pamela Tumpot, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day. Aloha.